Hello there, my fellow viewers and dragons and all the like. It is I, the Dragon Lover 95 here. And, well, sorry if I was a bit, not doing, too many streams. There were things that were, rather busy and all that. But, I'm back, and I have a different type of stream I basically want to do. And this is about story ideas that I had in mind. So, might as well just wait for y'all to basically show up and we can basically do this. And as always, make sure to have foods and drinks, a plushie, and just get all nice and settled in. I guess I can just bring up. Hopefully, y'all are having a good day and all, or night, wherever you are seeing this. Just wanted to let you guys know that things have been going pretty well for me. And we have our first here. What are you working on? I guess it's kind of a mix between doing these canvases, which I'm still kind of working on one, and the other, well, it's kind of a story project I'm doing already, but I will continue on with the others in the future. But yeah, as for weather around here, oh boy, it's gotten hot. It got hot around here. And even though I don't mind warmth, it's a bit, I have limits. Not to mention, oof, if you stay in a cold room for too long, even though it's hot outside, yeah, be sure you have long pants for that. Not like winter pants or anything, just, make sure that you have the types of pants that are light on cloth. But, yeah. I will pretty much say, the canvas is going really well. But I'm taking a break from it. Anywho's, as for the story project, well, this happens to be a crossover one. And this one I thought about for a while. And the idea was that what if I do a Knights and Balin crossover, but there's no shipping? Because whenever I see a Knights and Balin crossover, it's usually a ship between Knights and one of the Maestros or maybe both. Now, that's not an often thing when it comes to story writing and such. I'm talking about like fan art and such. Look, I know people have honestly done so, but I swear it's becoming like the Sunami thing. As in, it's a popular kind. That's just me. I'd rather have it be those two are just like friends or partners that work together that help each other's worlds and such while having a good time. Or they could be like distant cousins or something. I honestly don't see them as siblings because we clearly see that Maestros are a completely different race from Nightmares. But yeah, This idea actually came to me when I saw like the Balan trailer and such, and it totally reminded me of Knights. That's literally what it felt like to me. And then I'm not kidding here. This sort of story idea came to me while I was in the bathroom. You know how people basically do things in the shower where they have ideas and such? Yeah, that was me. And this idea just sparked. I mean, what if? Okay, the idea is that, well, of course I do inserts, but don't worry. I do not go the very Sue route, nor do I go with the boring route. I'm just doing the casual approach. Where basically it's a convention and people are gathering at this big building. Well, at least the people at Square and such. And Knights got an invitation from Balin that they were invited. Well, them and Riella. And I was like the plus one. Or I guess, would it be plus two? I don't know. But yeah. But I am self conscious about the idea of going because it's would seem like a bit much. Because you know, some people honestly get like that if they go to a party that they aren't going to be familiar with and all that. Thus, Riella actually had a plan. So basically, cut to this. We don't know exactly what he has planned, but that nightmare is scary when he actually comes up with ideas that neither knight or a visitor could actually predict. So we arrived at the building, and what basically is shown outside the doors was a strange, well, cage of sort. Now, if you want to know, it's basically those little costume prisms that you get in the game. It's basically that. And the costume was the Dainty Dragon for me. Hey, if it's gonna make me so conscious about things, then hiding myself will basically make it a little better. That's just me. And besides, Dainty Dragon is definitely dope. Fun fact, I actually defeated the the wolf boss with with basically the dragon at the final hit, whereas the mini boss before you fight the big old beast with just the dragon. I'm gonna say, Dainty Dragon was pretty good. Shame we gonna jump in main game, but in my story, I'd say that these costumes they have the standard jumping and such. It's just that their main abilities are way more useful and effective. That's basically how it feels to me. Anywho's, you go in, the place is packed. There were people there. Well, mostly game characters and all. And then there's the booth for Balan Wonderworld. And Balan, being the host that he is, it's just so eager and just happy that Knights attended along with Riella. Now, I basically dubbed them as like cousins because that is the more fitting thing for me. It just seems more logical just to make them like distant cousins. You know, it's like the whole thing with Lilo and Stitch. They come from a similar background of sort, but they aren't technically fully related, but kind of are. It's a bit confusing, but just go with me on that. And then, well, Balin being the energetic maestro himself, just ends up greeting me. Though, of course, Knights has to bring up that it's a little too overwhelming, and they whisper, and they would actually whisper, "Yeah, she has autism, so you might want to tone it down." Oh, my apologies. Thank you for telling me. Because Riala forgot to mention that, he just wanted to make the order of the costume. So, yeah. And the funny thing is, Riala leaves to go get like some snacks and drinks. There's pretty much just wine and punch. Yeah, I figured that would make a lot more sense rather than it just being fully alcohol. And thus, I'm meeting with the main characters you play as, Leo and Emma, making a small talk and all. And then, well, I see Lance, who's just sitting in the chair going over the scripts of the game. Yeah, and he doesn't really do a whole lot, but yeah, that's literally what he's doing. He's not really doing anything bad or anything. He's just looking at the scripts because I feel as though that while Balin is organizing the party and such, Lance is the one who's in charge of making sure that things go accordingly because he is also a maestro. So I basically leave for a bit to go sit by the chair that's kind of next to his. Now it's facing away from him, but now he would be slightly sort of side-eyeing on me, like as in curious, but he's not coming off as the type of how some would assume he's in game. He's curious enough to ask a few questions and all. Uh, oh, hey Joshua. Also, okay, interesting. But yeah, Lance, I make sure that he comes off as a bit odd. Like, yes, while he isn't doing anything that would seem suspicious or anything dangerous, he is given that sort of odd expression. Like he could be up to something or he's thinking in his head. And again, he would make small talk and I would give the short replies and all. And of course, Lance would look, seeing that Knights and Belen are occupied, as well as Leo and Emma, and Riala isn't anywhere nearby. Lance felt that he could put a little bit of chaos in the mix. And I'm not sure if any of you have played Balan Wonderworld or probably have seen the cutscenes, but how Balan did so with one of the visitors, he used one of his tentacles to actually use dark magic on them. And I guess the term trap them or turn them into the giant Negati boss. That's what he would have done if I didn't notice it soon. Yeah, I would pick it up a lot more easily. Of course, Balin and Knight are not too pleased about this. Emma and Leo, of course, would be mad about it. And Riella would just come by. He would just come back and ask what was going on. And, well, let's just say Knights would be asking the questions. And Lance said he wanted to test it out. And then Balin, he flat out would say, So you intended her to turn into an you intended for her to turn into a Negity? And this would make Riella mad. Like, he would be pissed. Now, if you probably don't know, I do ship myself with Riella, so say what you like. But yeah, he doesn't take that lightly. He hands the trays over to Emma and Leo, and he gives that sort of, pulling up the sleeves sort of look, giving Lance the sort of death glare. But he's got a dark aura around him, and he would just go over, saying, "It's like you're gonna turn my mate into a hideous monster." Of course, even though Lance, some people assume that he wouldn't feel much emotions or he would be cocky about it and such, but no, this takes him a bit by surprise because he would never expect someone like Riella to get that angry. And Riella, he just grabs him by the neck. Now, of course, Balin and Knights try to get him to let go. Of course, because Riella is in this state of mind, he is he's not gonna let go. And if you guys were to basically see Journey of Dreams and how Riella had grabbed the kids, yeah, he would have broken their necks if he was given the chance. Well, he could have, but he didn't. That's because Knights just hit a nerve with him. Yeah, not even kidding. But yeah, while they did try to get him to let go of Lance, it was when I basically had to speak up, tell him to calm down, and saying that what Lance did was wrong, but this isn't helping either. And thus, Riella calms down, he lets Lance go, and his mood basically is, well, not really in the best, but he's not angry anymore. But yeah. Balin would have to apologize on Lance's behalf because, no, Lance can't really speak right now because of the big shock that he just received. It just makes the most sense. And then by the end of the story, ended up leaving. But, well, let's just say, I think for this alternative sort of end, let's just say we did stick around a bit more. Yeah, it really isn't too long of an ideal story. It was just sort of like an introduction per se on my behalf. But yeah, that was the ideal for the first sort of Balin story-esque thing. But I had a feeling that when I was able to witness Balin Wonderworld and I played myself, I realized that I could make something like this. And I've seen a lot of people make Balin covers. And they were amazing to look at. Not even kidding. They really were amazing to look at. And I definitely, and y'all remember me doing one of Dreamy's back then. Me and rereading those. They were a lot of fun. But it's when, well, you could say a friend of mine, who was basically called and referred to as Starry Haven, a really bright artist and a very good friend, is a major Balin fan, as well as fan of Knights. And she took a long time, but has been making a sort of variant of her own Balin novel. Now, Balin does get to do a bit more. There are slight references here and there to things, but it's more of the journey of her as the main character, but that's fine because you put your personality in there that actually speaks the true you, which I do like. And it doesn't come off as annoying or too much. It's actually interesting to see how these worlds evolve and all that. How the characters and environments are interactive and such. And how much the negative play a major importance of how cynical and dark they are. And Lance, well, from what I was able to tell, he was a crafty fella. Still nice to see that Lance makes appearances from here and there. But there was something I want to also add. She actually had some of my costume characters be cameos. Well, one of them. Which this actually helped me a lot because I wanted to know what I wanted to make this Negity boss. Because I know that these Negity are a combination of a lot of the costume characters, because that's literally what they are. So the idea is that it's a combination, but what if it has a very good feel to it? Like a feeling of what it represents and all that. I mean, yes, it's going to be a more Calamity variant of myself. Or is it? That's where the idea came and struck. As I went more and more of the idea, it just seemed too perfect. Because during the time there was a stupid drama going on, which I will not fully go into because, well, if you know, you know. We'll leave it at that. Where the idea is that it's a very big mountain area. Think like out of Alice Madness Returns, where you go into that uh, painting style Okami level, and there are like caves and such, but the landscape down below is very artsy and all, like different themes. It's just so fitting. But there's also these strange looking crystals, because those weren't fully there before. Like they suddenly appeared. Now, I never really used crystals in themings, like the theming of how does that work with art? That's when there's the arrival of the actual antagonist. Yes, we had Lance. We have him as an antagonist, but he doesn't really do a whole lot to be deemed as the main villain. No. Rather, I wanted him to actually gain not that trope, rather something that he himself would make a mistake. And this mistake, well, a sort of slip up or something. Look, what I'm trying to say is that he's done his job a little too well with this sort of new creation, this new Negity. The creature is simply called Drawfield. And Drawfield, well, I'm certain you recall seeing just what this creature looks like. It is, in fact, a very, very, very massive creature. Now, if there's anything I could describe it being as, oh boy. The more I actually went through it, the more and more I actually didn't want to be just a raging monster. Rather, I decided that, you know what? What is the most monstrous creature that that I actually remember and actually really liked? The personality and the way it was working and it formed and such. It's a canvas and all. I was thinking, and it just hit me. This guy is a little too much like Envy, specifically Brotherhood Envy. Or as I call him, Envious. But yeah, he's like Envious, only he's not jealous per se. Rather, he's a master manipulator and a really skilled shapeshifter. If he's actually able to learn about certain individuals and such, he can perfectly mimic their appearance and vocals, which is, of course, very, very useful. But there's something even more about this creature that I think I should definitely reveal a bit later because I think it's much more better of a surprise. Okay, the thing about this story, I actually had some sort of going through this sort of thing, planning it out, didn't know what to do or what to come up with, but it was when it just started coming together. Just a simple premise, of course. It would start off with Knight curious about why I haven't visited in a while, as in going to Nightopia and all. Either by I'm gonna sleep or by portal because Yoster does that. And nothing's happened thus far. They wouldn't go into the realm of Nightmare because obvious reasons, but they also know that Riella isn't going to be, well, worried because he's pretty occupied with things, which makes a lot of sense. Now, the thing with Knights is that while they do explore some of the dreams that I've had for Nightopia, they realize that I haven't been visiting there either. They couldn't get any answers from Owl, but it was when that Knights was led by a time or team. Yeah, they are led straight to Wonderworld, where they meet up with Balin, and they ask if they had seen Ashley. Of course, Balin, he brings up that yes, he has. How he goes over the basics that Ashley's heart is well unbalanced, and that something's needs to be done about that. Though the thing is, Knights mentions how they haven't been able to find me, thus asks Balin if he has seen me recently, which Balin just shuffles and just like he's a bit awkward about it and saying that he has not. At least not for a little while. But he is aware that I have not left the theater. Because those who enter the theater, they can't leave yet. I kind of believe that sort of thing. It's like the theater itself does that, not Balin. He may be powerful, but the theater itself is pretty much alive, sort of. It's its own world, its own dimension. Knights does bring up about how Riala would be very upset and he might end up showing up if they don't find me. And Balin agrees because he himself knows just how dangerous the main general can be. And thus they basically venture it. I like to have the idea that Balin and Knights, they do in fact, while they are searching, also have a lot of fun just exploring this specific stage that I came up with. The main ground area is filled with vast of themes of art, like canvases and landscapes of pages and all that. Rainbow rocks and water and all. Even a cave system filled with the sort of crystals that glow. And the locals there are basically the costumes that I had made. Though some of them seem a little bit negative like. Note. The thing is, I honestly wondered what would a negative costume look like because, let's be honest here, I think it was a crime that no one thought about making a Lance costume or you dressing up like a negative. Like that's just something that should have been added. Of course, they do have fun and all, as well as fix some problems with some of the costume characters. However, what they don't know is that they are being watched and observed. And it seemed that things are starting to take the turn. It all may seem innocent enough, but as you go further in, something more happens. Like something more dark and dangerous, even disturbing. I don't even know what's going on out there. Not sure if you guys can hear that, but I sure can. Ugh. All right. I guess I could just be clear about this. The thing about what is going on is that You know how Drawfield's one of his abilities is the shapeshift? Well, let's just say they can also morph their body into like objects and such, like crystals. They can even spread it. Really comes in handy. Now, Knights and Balin, they don't know that this Negity is there. Because this Negity is adapted to go undetected because they're keeping their energy just very, very low. Also, there's a bit of misunderstanding and such with some of the costume characters, which are looking like Negities. Those being the Stealth Shadow and the Ghoul Striker. Both basically inspired off these certain Negities. Like the Shadow variant is more of the regular kind, except kind of purple. Whereas the Ghoul Striker is a bit more catered to the red variant. Which, fun fact, after a certain amount of time and the amount of Negity you take out, there's a rare chance you're going to get a rare spawn of red Negity, which are much more dangerous, I guess, and more bigger. I guess that'd be the term. But it is really cool. It's like shiny variants. But yeah, these would all become later when little by little, one by one, certain amounts of inhabitants go missing. No one knows what's happened to them. One moment they were there, and second they're gone, as if they suddenly vanished without a trace. Now it's a mystery for them. They have no idea what it is, what is going on, and most importantly, they needed to be cautious. But let's just say there's going to be a bit more problems for Balin. Like, he acts a little funny the more he gets to well, further in the stage. And seeing that things are happening to well, things around them. Like the strange disappearances and how there haven't been seen much Negity lately. Well, let's just say there's an answer for that. Because later on, you know how I mentioned Drawfield has other abilities? Well, this is another of one of them. Now keep in mind, people, these are just ideas I am wanting to put out. So just take it with a grain of salt if you like. What have looked like the regular inhabitants, they looked different. Like they are like a solitary color, but they seem more shiny. Like almost liquidy. They have they have no sense of, well, acknowledgments. Their eyes are vacant, void of any sense of emotion. Aside from, well, whatever is being shown there, the expressions on their face. These people are called colored copies. This is my take on the Zombots from the freaking comics, but I actually made them work. First off, they don't cause infection because let's be honest here, I think that literally would just destroy the purpose of these things. No. They are more aggressive and they're a bit more quicker than expected. And much more tougher to take down. Like, you could take them down, but after like a little while, they just suddenly reform and they start their attacks again. Even though you could take them down, they wouldn't stay down for long and they would not go away. What could slow them down is water, but that's just about it. Nothing else would be able to stop them. It's when they get more and more to like where the second stage is. But Balin, he's suddenly having sudden visions where he would get a massive like headache. And he feels a stirring pain. A sort of pain like something had pierced through him. Of course, Knight wants to make sure that he's okay. And that they should rest. Yeah, I do like to believe that Knights does in fact regain energy if they rest a bit. It's not a bad idea. I mean, let's be honest here. We've seen Knights do some relaxation, so it's pretty clear that Nightmarons like Knights could sleep if they wanted to. Now, just say Knights gets these sort of strange visions too, but instead it's darkness within. It's a very dark area. And they're only seeing what could be described as those being trapped in some kind of large creature with vacant, crazed eyes staring back at them. Knights did not see a full-on nightmare. That was more like a vision. No, Knights is not psychic. It's just more of that sixth sense and that sort of. It's the feelings they got. As for like the second stage, it's definitely more catering of the mountain area up until what seems to be some sort of large castle area guarded by a large stone dragon. Yeah, I figured it would just be very fitting. And lo and behold, surprise, surprise, I was basically there. Or was I? Sure, there were little bits of me here and there, quote unquote, when it really would have been different to say the least. the negatives do show up, and what do? Not only would they be able to split Balin and Knights up, but toss them off the mountain. Yeah, I figured. Yeah, I kind of took that idea off of Frozen level from Kingdom Hearts 3, but don't worry, they're not gonna it's not gonna go through that whole song and dance of them going up the mountain, only get tossed down, and of course, Sora's best line, "No, thank you," because that'd be anyone's reaction. Balin and Knights can't really fly up there, considering that it seems that there's quite a storm up there. And it's strong, and they wouldn't be able to handle it. Again, Balin is powerful, but I think he has his limits. Also, I should have mentioned this too, but Balin has felt suddenly weaker for some reason, but that wasn't some reason. It's because he was attacked. And now, on the ground, Balin is being taunted by a sort of creepy variant of myself. And then there's also Knights, who also comes across someone who doesn't look like me, but it's okay, kinda, but they're sort of being lured away where things got foggy and all. And then they come across a sort of variant of themselves. But this one is more trying to get them of their doubts, fears, and failures. Like trying to get into Knight's head. Yeah, if you want to know something about this, you're probably wondering, why is Drawfield doing all this? And where is Lance? Thing is, Lance does pay a visit, but it's only just to check in with things. They even managed to find Knights where the imposter just ends up fleeing the scene. Lance asks of what is going on and why is Knights there. That is when Knights, of course, just sums up what's happened and all, where Lance reassures Knights that there's nothing to worry about, that I'm safe, and wonders where's Balin. Yeah. the Let's just say Knights would just be up for and just saying that they have no idea, but they know that they fell off the mountain too. They bring up that a lot of the inhabitants are gone, that there are strange colored copy creatures around. Or as Knights puts them, they're like zombies. Only we're not turning into them for some reason. I don't know, I'll work on it. And the inclusion of the strange Negity. That's when Lance brings a little bit of information about this specific Negity that he made. He calls it the Guardian for me. Says that because of what has happened, I created this specific Negity just to protect and to keep her safe, while also keeping enemies away. keeping those that wish to harm her away. He did not he did not think that the creature did mostly wrong. He just mostly just did it because he believes that this negative he created is just doing its job. Which he's not wrong, but it worked a little too well. And now there's just the thing with Drawfield. Drawfield is sadistic. What is Drawfield's reasoning behind this? Why is he doing all this? Well, simple. He is just following what he was made to do. But he also sort of has viewed me as sort of a friend in a sort of way. But also was given the task of keeping Balin away. And this sort of implies that because Balin is trying to help me and such, Drawfield felt threatened. Like, this maestro is just trying to take away his only friend that has treated him rather nicely. Because Drawfield wasn't as mean as he claims to be. But because of this sort of messed up thing that's going on, that's happened with him, he would take measures into his own hands. Thus, because he's a canvas-made creature, he'll morph his body into anything he sees fit for this sort of operation. And these sort of plans. Sure, he does keep following under Lance's orders. He would never betray him. But he couldn't just stand by and let Balin try and do anything that would try to take away his only friend. Thus, he made sort of plans. Gathering information as well as learning as best he could. And even getting the jump on Balin when he least expects it. He basically just pierced through Balin's body. Now, because Balin is a sort of dreamlike creature and such, it wouldn't really do much to, well, be truly, let's just say he would be fine, but it does hurt a lot. And I mean a lot. But the thing is, Drawfield, he makes Balin black out, and that sort of caused a mental block. A mental block is only remembering slightly of the bad stuff and not really much of the good stuff. Or it can be the polar opposite, that you're only remembering the good stuff and not really knowing what the bad stuff was. It isn't until you retrace your steps where that blockage will basically break through. And the thing with knights, well, they obviously wanted to mess with them. As well as, of course, being a negative, they wanted to exploit that sort of weakness of knights. Because if they are in cahoots with Balin, then this could also mean trouble. So taking out knights with mind games and such is something that Briala uses as a tactic too. So there's that. And of course, they do find quote unquote me. Lance does pretty much leave Knights to be, but says that should anything go wrong, don't be afraid to call. Then give me a holler if trouble comes up, because that just makes the most sense. And he would handle this because it's a negative. So yeah, the duo reunite, and they are able to make it to where, well, the heart isn't such, and the tree where they place him back. Now, I just want to note that the mini boss would actually be the colored copies, which I think that we find. Also, I highly doubt that the negative would actually do much against knights because they're a dark creature. A Nightmare would count as that, so they wouldn't really need to be. They wouldn't really have a reason to be there if there's no Pure of Heart. Sure, knights does have a bit of some sense of goodness in them, but remember, their origins are true. They're still a Nightmare, meaning they wouldn't have any interest in attacking knights. But Drawfield, oh, they do. And the colored copies, since they came from him, that means they are obliged. They are obligated to go after them. Or anyone that's associated with the Light Maestro. Oh. Hello, and welcome to the stream. By the way, hope y'all are liking this thus far. This is just me throwing ideas out. It's just something I really wanted to bring up with you guys, and it's just fun to talk about these. And they would eventually be brought into the boss's domain, and at first they see me, or is it false me, imposter me, whatever you say, and Knights knows that it's not me, as does Balin. And lo and behold, it gets disturbing. The creature just makes it look horrifying, like an eldritch horror, where it begins to toward and change its body, twisted and just mangled and all that, speaking in a tone that only a madman would actually speak, or something that's completely unknown, until, well, they see its true form. This hulking giant of a beastly negative is pretty much there. Knight sees the vision. Actually, they recall the vision and knows exactly what happened. Drawfield then goes explaining a bit how, well, yes, they have captured the residents. They are still pretty much alive, just a bit stuck. Now, there are no cages. There are no prisons in this lair. Nowhere in this domain are you going to find any cages per se. And the creature, well, again, it can morph its body into anything it pleases and it chooses to. It's when they revealed and it's as twisted. They have the residents inside its body, where they began to bring out more colored copies, and it was a horde and an army, which Balin and Knights took the time to basically fight. Now you're probably wondering, where was I in all this? In fact, what happened with me? Well, I'll tell you that in a bit. Right now I want to focus on this fight sequence. Well, they already know that they could knock these guys down. They would not stay down for long, and there's no way they would stop them from coming. But it was a crazy idea. But Balin had the idea that maybe they need to rescue those trapped. Which Knights knows a thing or two about this sort of thing, personally. And they used the already existing costumes that tagged along with them. Well, their powers, no less. Because when you have the costumes, they basically are in your inventory. Thus, combining their elements, they are able to get into the creature's body and get those residents out. And each time they bring them out, a colored copy falls, and it no longer can reform. In fact, it's just a puddle of goo that absorbs back into Drawfield, who gets rather annoyed. But it's when they actually get the hit on them. Where is the weak point? There's no weak point on the outside. It's actually inside. Now this guy, it usually takes 3 hits to take out a negative boss. Well, not this one. Because this one is more advanced and such, there's a lot more to do with this. A lot more text. And they would get angrier and angrier. Because Drawfield's full title is Drawfield the Raging Beast. Because if you know Envy, he's also like that. Make him mad enough, and he will go beast form. Well, giant lizard and all, but you know. Yeah. That's the thing about Drawfield. They don't give up. In fact, they pretty much want to take them out immediately. They even go for Balin first. It's when I basically show up on the scene and witness what has happened along with Lance, who sees the battle from the darkness. And, well, it's a real shocking moment. And it's like the thing out of Lion King, per se. And, hey, Sam! Yeah! I've been an hour in! But, hey, that's okay. That's okay. You can rewatch this, in my live's, setup. Yeah. But yeah, what Drawfield does catches Balin off guard again, but not only pins him to one of the crystals, but also stabs him right through his abdomen and chest area. Oof. Yeah, I know. But hey, when you have a lot of ideas and you just want to share them, it's just a lot of fun. Yeah, that's the thing with Drawfield. They they have a bit of a bloodlust thing, but it's only a rare thing when they're angered. Oh, well, hopefully things work out. And hey, maybe next time I might ask you to be part of the stream at some point. So I'm not gonna basically rush things. People can come whenever they see the chance. But yeah, Drawfield's messed up. They basically have Balin pinned. And it's not like anyone's gonna can do anything about it because the outside, you can't really damage this guy. They bring up that it was them who basically caused Balin to be weakened. That it was them basically pretending to be some of the residents, pretending to be me at some points. And they were the ones to cause the mental block. Why? Because they felt that as long as Balin is away, there's no needing to cause any more harm. There's no needing to worry about trying to take a friend away. How things are fine the way they are. Of course, Balin, being Balin, he does not believe that sort of thing whatsoever. In fact, he calls Drawfield out on this. And, well, saying that you're no real friend. You're you're nothing more than a monster that Lance made. You're at all. I'll figure something out. But this only made Drawfield even more angry, causing more pain to Balin. It looks like it was going to like kill him and such. Of course, Lance would try to intervene, only for there to be a force field up. Because can't intervene in this sort of situation. But it is when Knight steps in and actually gets Drawfield to let go of Balin. And thus, it is in fact the real fight begins. Drawfield is way more active, way more quicker, despite their size, and way more ruthless attacks. I also tried to reason with the creature, but seeing that she is staying with me forever. Yeah, realizing that this monster definitely has crossed the lines. And, well, let's just say Knights is able to do more hits. But after like the third hit, the upper half basically gets, or at least the head gets to be taken off, leaving nothing more than the torso and such. it's now transformed into the sort of monster house. Not literally, it's more like that form that becomes like it's basically that. It's much they of course Knights is able to handle the creature, but I actually help out Balin because I know he cannot do it alone. I lend him a helping hand knowing that I want it to end too. Thus, those powers are used. Balin gains his strength back, and that combined force has helped take out the monster. Only for it to not fully be destroyed. Rather, Drawfield is now reverted to a more smaller and less crazy looking design. I haven't really decided what that would look like, so try to deal with me on this, try to bear with this. Which, of course, they aren't too happy about. But Lance, he intervenes and of course is just very disappointed, as well as, well, I guess you could say angered and disappointed in what Drawfield has done. Well, but he would say that he is impressed that he managed to come up with this stuff behind his back. It still wasn't right for what he, well, tried to do. That being to almost kill Balin. Because even though Lance, he is the negative maestro and all and such, he still pretty much cares about Balin, even if he doesn't like to show it. Thus, the negative basically leaves back into the realm where the other negative is. And everyone is back in the stage where, well, everyone is recovering, and Knights wants answers, which Lance and I explained how I, of course, was going through tough times with my art and such, creativity, and how I was being accused and such. Where that was kind of the full reason as to why I entered Wonderworld. And even if Balin didn't mean much harm or anything, it was still an impression. It was still a first impression that I was getting overwhelmed for. But when Lance approached, he was in his pure form. Yeah, he can do that. He had no reason, but he felt that it would be much more safe, I guess, for me. And, well, let's just say he made those sort of promises and all. Listen in, saying that while Balin does his job, he's also not very good when it comes to certain people if they have certain traits. And while he wasn't trying to trick that, it's it's more of Lance explaining how Lance has been treated, how he was originally the maestro and all. And then, well, let's just say he did what he had to do. But he apologized for not seeing these signs before. He wasn't even aware of it. And he deeply regrets for putting everyone in that situation. Knight is pretty shocked. Balin is just baffled. And I'm just taken a bit by surprise too. But in the end, the only thing he basically got out of it was a forgiving hug from me. Because let's be honest here, Lance deserves it. He really does deserve better. Oh, hey Cole. You kind of missed out on a lot of storytelling that I was bringing up. It's about a Balin and Knights crossover I had, and these are just ideas that sort of just came to me, and how I am planning to make this in the future. But yeah, in the end, it all just worked out just fine. But even though things have gotten better, let's just say I kind of visit those two sometimes. And of course, I would basically visit Knights, and even Riella, who clearly was kind of told half the things, mostly just so he wouldn't get angry. That's fine. Also, Cole, how was your trip? Just thought I'd ask. Oh, but yeah, this Balin and Knights crossover, I think it would actually work. Because not only would I want to show the interactions between Balin and Knights and how much they are more likely just relatives in a certain way, but they also show off their personalities and all that. And there's even the backstory of how I ended up in that place, along with Lance, how he got involved and what has happened, that it was a mistake on his behalf that he should have checked. Hmm. Well then, I hope you got some stuff. The funny, I still get over the fact that you mentioned I'm not buying a T-shirt. Honestly, what is there a T-shirt that says "I'm a virgin, I live in Virginia" or "I love Virginia"? Ah, still, hopefully you ended up getting some good stuff too. Also, I could just say this right now. I had a lot of things that I wanted to do for Drawfield and such. Being a negative that's like a canvas and such. Yeah. Now, thing is, before there was the persona approach with the shadow variant of myself, only the shadow creature, well, It was basically a black variant thing made it a black ink monster that just had a lot of dangerous tactics and such. Drawfield actually was sort of, it came from that, only a much more secured and stable form. Well then, I hope you do it. Take your time. Oh my god, what are you roasting about this time? By the way, you guys want to see how this picture's going thus far? It's a bit crazy. This is what I got thus far. And boy, let me tell you, I really, really wanted to make sure I got the colors looking right. Also, the line art. Honestly, I'm actually happy how this is coming out thus far. All done in markers. The coloring, at least. But yeah, that's something I want to know, Cole. What will you honestly be roasting on? Because I really want to know. Nice. I'll be. But yeah, if I do another of this, well, I would definitely want to bring in other people. Or at least have them join in the comment and such. Because, trust me, I have a lot of ideas. And I would only do it around a point where people aren't as busy and all that. Also, just thought I'd let you all know. Even though there weren't that many people that joined for the stream, I sure hope that whoever basically watches this, they actually find the ideas I come up with to be at least interesting. Oh, okay. That's gonna be interesting. Because I've never really had that happen to me before. So it should be interesting. By the way, Cole, if you have any questions to ask, I could I could put in a few more minutes for any questions you have to ask. Also, just gotta take a bit of a break. Give it all the explanation and such. Oh, I'm okay. I'm okay. All right. Oh, when do you suppose you'll do a stream of Mad Libs? Well, when do you have your semesters? Maybe I could ask you to join the stream. Also, need to be clear as to when would be a good point because I wouldn't want to basically do so early. And besides, I think it would be funny to do those like movie ones. Like we come up with the main character, whichever it'll be, and we'll just go from there. I know they have Lord of the Rings, they have Nightmare on Elm Street and such. Those are the ones I connect, and I think Harry Potter. I don't know. All I know is that it'll be great. Well, I got an appointment on Tuesday, but yeah, something like that. It'll actually be pretty funny to actually do this kind of thing with people who have a good sense of humor. Because let's be honest here, it makes it a lot more funnier, especially when you have a lot more people. Seriously, Mad Libs is funny. A lot of people just look. Let's be honest here. You've all done Mad Libs. It's like the thing with Cards Against Humanity. Woohoo! Anyways, I think this stream has definitely gone on a bit long enough. I do hope you all found this at least a bit entertaining with me just going on about ideas that I had for this specific crossover story and how a bit of the origins happened. But yeah, I guess the point about this sort of stream was to say that there aren't that many Balin and Knights crossover stories where they actually do adventuring and such. Maybe we could have actually seen some elements of them doing sort of fun activities and such. Okay, even though I didn't say much. Yeah, that's fine. Well, guess if I'm just gonna be clear here, I think it'll be a fun thing. Because Balin has a lot of opportunities for things, as well as, well, people miss nights. So why not combine that? I think that would be fitting. Anyways, I will see you all later. And have a good day or a good night, whichever you see this. See y'all later. Ow!